It's your boy Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we talk all things Sorare, we follow my journey in Sorare, and we just have a good time. If you're new to the channel, get comfortable, make a cup of tea. If you've not got a cup of tea already, basically, make a cup of tea, press pause on the video, go make a cup of tea while the video is paused. If you can give me a like and a subscribe, greatly appreciated. That's done now. On pause, cup of tea in hand. Let's talk Sorare. So, the last Premier League weekend of the season's coming up. So, for someone like me with a big interest and cards in the Premier League, that's quite significant because it means it's going to be a few quiet months after the Premier League for me because the Mexican season is also in the later stages of the playoffs. So, a lot of the Mexican teams have now gone out of the league. They're in the semi-finals now. They did the first legs yesterday or the day before because it was two semi-finals. So we're going to be out of them Mexican season card soon, and we're going to be out of Premier League season card soon. So it's going to be a bit quiet for me. I'm not rushing too much. I have seen some chat in the Sorare community about sort of what MLS cards can I buy so that I can play in the summer. What other leagues can I cover? For me, I'm just going to not really worry about chasing MLS cards too much. Not this summer anyway. Maybe next summer, if I win a few, I'll keep them with bearing in mind that it gets quiet summer. But for now, I just feel like it's crazy for me to be chasing summer competitions when it's better for me just right now to save that for the Premier League and Mexico, the kind of leagues that I'm developing my cards in, and just wait for the seasons to resume. I'm not going to get that impatient. I'm going to use this month for scouting, for shopping, for picking up bargains here and there. So that's my state of play. Also, Sorare have introduced a new Rivals format, which I think looks really great. A league structure of Rivals, so that we're not just playing for boxes that just have tickets anymore. Now we're playing for promotion and relegation within league structures and boxes to win if you get promoted. So I think that's great. And I also think that's a nice little way for me to kind of keep my Sorare activity going in the summer when my lineups are reduced and I can't field as many lineups before Mexico and the Premier League resume. So this new rival structures come at a perfect time for me because it kind of keeps me Sorare engaged. So that's what I'm going to be doing probably, just focusing on rivals a little bit more now and buying cards for the summer. So I'll show you the new cards that I bought later in the video since last week. Let's start off this video by looking at how I did last weekend in the Sorare lineups. So before I show you how I did at the weekend, which was May 10 to 14, there is a midweek set of fixtures live right now, and I entered a few teams mainly just to build up the bonuses of my card. Within the capped leagues, there were a few good scores within there. I had no playing goalkeepers to play this midweek. But Chelsea continuing their run, which is great for me as a Chelsea fan to see. So Cucurella with a 64 here, Chalobah with a 66. Chalobah is looking like a great pick. I only bought him for like £1 or so, and he's been back in the Chelsea team now, looks great. So Callum Wilson getting a little injury is very annoying for me because I had him, bought him. He gave me 2 weeks where he scored twice in a row, and then now he's picked up another injury. So that's kind of what I've got to expect with Callum Wilson. He's just injured all the time, but when he's fit, he seems to do really well. So he wasn't back yet. I'm not going to risk him this weekend because, he was a 50-50 midweek. So I thought maybe he'll play against Man United. Didn't. So he's only got one more game of the season left. I don't think he's going to play that. So Cucurella and Chalobah doing well. Kovacic at City getting a 61. João Felix, I think that's it for Barcelona. He's not going to do anything else with Barcelona. Didn't play last weekend. And then I've got him in my team. He's still got a chance to play. Maybe he plays. I doubt it, though. Omar Campos, my Santos card, who's at LAFC. 53, not bad from him. Atuesta also at LAFC. So I have two LAFC cards. So, if I did want to build a little cheeky MLS collection, I've got two LAFC cards already. Badi Chile, another Chelsea player. So, yeah, not that much to report about. If we go to the weekend, it also was a bad weekend. I did say in last week's video, I'm building my squad still for next summer. And I'm putting together what I have here. So, my under 23 league was nothing great. João Felix didn't play. The Chelsea cards, even though they beat Nottingham Forest, Gallagher wasn't really involved, and the defenders conceded 2 goals, so kind of didn't get good scores here. And the goalkeeper, 46, average score from him. If we look at how I did in my capped leagues, like I said, the 270 I thought was my strongest league. And if Callum Wilson had played, because he was, he was a 50-50 call. He wasn't necessarily out of the game. So I captained him thinking, I need him to play. And then if he does, I hope he scores because he was on a good run, 2 goals in two. Unfortunately, he didn't play, which really sort of cost this team. But I mean, Best there also didn't do well with a 40. James Ward-Prowse, nice to see him scoring. 71 for James Ward-Prowse. Again, Zuma, an okay score, 67. I'm building my West Ham collection for next season. So if you've not seen the series so far, I have been talking about which cards I want for the next season. And I kind of want a Chelsea stack, obviously, because I've got lots of Chelsea cards. And then I'm also going to be looking at Newcastle and West Ham as my kind of second mini stacks that I'm going to be targeting. So I guess in an ideal week for me, I'll have three classic teams in the Premier League, and that'll be West Ham, Newcastle, and Chelsea. And then with the extra cards, I'll put them into Champion and kind of cobble together a team in Champion. So Champion's not going to be my priority, but because I can use my Premier League cards in Champion, I'm thinking I need like a loose structure in Champion, like a goalkeeper, a striker, and then maybe I just piece together the rest with Premier League cards I'm not using that week. So that's kind of my strategy. So it was good to see the West Ham cards getting relatively okay scores, building the bonuses for next season. And then there was a 240 with a not playing goalkeeper. Andy Robertson didn't play. Rashika at Besiktas didn't play. Very frustrating, Rashika. Very frustrating, Besiktas as well. I'm not feeling the Turkish league. I'm just not. They seem to sort of all struggle when they have away fixtures. Even the best teams seem to really struggle away. It's just really hard to predict. So I've actually traded this Rashika card away. He's gone now. So that's the end of my Rashika adventures. He has given me good scores, but it's just too hard to predict. And then with the new structure, he was a good card for me it was one of the first cards I bought, and he was one of those cards that kind of summed up good cards for the capped leagues. Because he always gave you a bad score now and again, but then gave you a spike randomly. And if you kind of worked out where those spikes were, you could his L15 stayed low, so you could kind of get him in your capped leagues. With the new structure, he's the kind of card that I just don't want because he's not someone I can rely on. There's lots of better midfielders in his division, in the place that he would go. So yeah, not for me. Not for me. So he's been traded out. Frustration slightly. Maybe I should have been a bit more patient, but Rashika's gone. Awaniwi is making his return back from injury with Nottingham Forest. Again off the bench, but promising signs for next season that Awaniwi is picking up some minutes towards the end of the season. I think he's way better than Chris Wood. Chris Wood has played in Awaniwi's absence at Nottingham Forest and done okay. There's been weeks where Chris Wood has scored lots of goals, but he's also missed a lot of chances. And as a player, Awaniwi is just so much better, I think. So hopefully, as an Awaniwi owner, he sort of next season, that's a good striker I should have. And then Munoz, Crystal Palace continuing their good form. Munoz is almost playing as a wing back, really attacking, getting lots of potential attacking returns. So happy with him. And yeah, that's how I did last week. Let's take a quick cheeky look now at the new cards that I've bought since last video. So last week, the cards that I'd bought were these cards. Basically, I'm building up Mexico and Premier League cards, Liga MX and Premier League, looking for bargains for next season. So picking up cards like Callum Wilson, Zuma, Luke Shaw, all of them who I think are undervalued at the moment. Like Luke Shaw, because he's injured, is £1.50 I was able to buy him for. I think when he's back, he was rumored to be coming back this week, but he's had a little setback again. Classic Luke Shaw. But he should be ready for next season. If he doesn't play for England in the Euros and has a summer rest, I'm hoping next season, maybe even with a different manager at Manchester United, Luke Shaw back in the team and should be a good pick. So I bought cards like Fabian Schär, also injured, so I was able to get him quite cheap. Ward-Prowse for next season. Koulibaly helping with my Chelsea collection. Vasquez at Monterrey, I think, was the last card that I showed you that I've bought. So I traded, actually. So he, again, is someone I think could be a key striker for Monterrey next season. So since then, I've bought the Necaxa goalkeeper because I do have a little Necaxa collection of in-season cards. So he was like 48p. I thought good as a kind of, I can use him to train other cards and also helps with my Necaxa collection. So I've now got both the Necaxa goalkeepers for next season. So I'm also covered if one gets injured. So I like that. I also bought Quinones. I traded Quinones. I think actually I traded my Besiktas card, who I just showed you, Rosica, and a little bit of money for Quinones, which I think was good value because I was getting rid of a card I didn't want anymore. Plus, Quinones' price has come down because if you look at his form here, he has had a little bit of dip at America. I think Henry Martin at America has been in good form, so he's kind of muscled him out of the team lately. But Quinones, I'll get there in the end. He's still young. He's still like yet to hit the peak of his career. He's an established, proven Liga MX striker. So even if it doesn't work with America, he can leave and go to another club. I think, especially next season. I think this is his settling in season. There's also rumors that Henry Martin, who's kind of keeping him out of the team at the moment, will leave in the summer. So, because his contract expires, and because America have got Quinones, I think they kind of think they might not want Henry Martin. They might want to get rid of him and then rely on Quinones more next season. So, with all of that, I got a striker for Liga MX next season. Another striker for Liga MX next season who also helps with my Necaxa collection was Monreal. Picked him up for very price in the auction. He's also an under 23 striker. So you look at his form, he has got a few peaks recently. Monreal, he has shown recently that he is capable. He's not been first team all season, but he has shown a couple of good scores. So I'm hoping he can build on that next season. And helps with the Necaxa collection. Cervantes at Santos helps with my Santos collection. I don't think I'm going to play him much because he's a great player and a really good player for Santos, really useful, plays every game. But in terms of Sorare scoring, he's not that high. And my only technically Premier League card, I don't expect him to be a Premier League card next season, is Sam Johnson. I traded him. He was worth about £3 because at the beginning of the season, he was playing for Crystal Palace. And then he got injured. So he was playing for Crystal Palace. Then he got injured. Then he came back. Then he got injured again. So with him, I'm hoping that because he's, like 30 years old, he's still got some good years as a goalkeeper. I kind of hope he leaves Crystal Palace and goes probably to the Championship or one of the promoted Premier League clubs. I bought him more in a kind of, his value is really low at the moment. And I kind of think on his day, if he's fit, I think he's a good goalkeeper. A few years ago, he was being touted in the England squad. So he's got that pedigree. I think if you're a Championship team or a Premier League team towards the bottom half of the table that needs a goalkeeper, I think maybe he gets a move in the summer. And I'm not necessarily convinced he's that far off the Crystal Palace #1 spot. He's kind of come out because he was injured, and I think he's lost his place now due to the injury, but he's a card that I'm kind of like gambling on for next season. I think with goalkeepers, I don't have many goalkeeper cards, so I think I can gamble with a few of them and think maybe a few of them pay off, or if they don't, I just use them to kind of training squads. So that was my thinking in getting Sam Johnson. So these are the cards that I bought since last week, these guys. Let's now take a look at how I'm going to be lining up for my lineups this weekend. Right then, this weekend, May the 17th to the 21st, let's take a little look at the lineups I'm thinking of putting out. So, as usual, until August, we're just focusing on the under-23 league and the capped leagues. The under-23 league, I'm going to be going for my one and only goalkeeper. We don't really have many options. So it's big or bad in goal. In defense, I'm going to be hoping Chelsea can continue their good form. Chelsea have a home fixture against Bournemouth. Bournemouth shouldn't really be playing for much. They've survived. They're not going to get relegated. They can't really finish much higher. So Chelsea need the win, want to finish in that. Chelsea are 6th in the league at the moment. They want to hold down that place, get a European finish, which would be great. A great ending for the season for Chelsea. So with that in mind, I'm really playing all my Chelsea cards across the lineups in the hope that I kind of get a few of them, the ones that start. So I think Chalobah and Gallagher should be starting. They're the kind of informed players. So they're going in my under-23 league. Gallagher will be captain. And then up front, I'm not playing João Felix. I've been playing João Felix for the last few weeks. But with him not playing, I think Barcelona have a game today as I'm recording on Thursday. So If he plays for Barcelona today and does really well, I might swap him in for Nejli at Sparta Rotterdam. But Nejli played the last game for Rotterdam. He played the last game, and not only did he play, he scored. So he got a nice little score of 60, which for an under 23 striker is great for me. So I'm going to hope that he continues that form and play him instead of Felix, unless Felix plays really well today. So he's going to be the striker. And then Ravic is another player who's come back from injury for Cercle Bruges. And he's been picking up some good scores lately. He was out of the team. Oh, I've gone too far back. He was out of the team for a long time. When I bought him very cheap. Here's where I bought him, when he had all of these DNPs and he wasn't playing. Then he came back, gave us a little promise here, but then wasn't in the first team, gave us another promise, kind of, and now another promise. So the peaks are getting slightly closer. It's like a peak, two, peak, two, peak. I'm hoping, a player who's 20, 22, 21 now. 21 years old now. So a young player, looking like an exciting option. I'm going to be chucking him in. So I'm kind of struggling with this fifth spot because Reece James, very annoyingly, came back from the Chelsea team, got a great assist, and then last game against Brighton got sent off. So Reece James won't be playing against Bournemouth. Soleil has been dropped from the RB Salzburg team, possibly because there's rumors that he's leaving. I've looked up into why he's not playing. It's quite hard to find out why. He was scoring really well for me, but 2 DMPs now, I think because he's leaving. So I'm not going to risk him. Even though he's been scoring well, 2 games not starting now is enough for me to be like, I'm not risking you. So Ravic is coming in instead of Soleil, basically. So that's how my under 23 lineup is going to be going. Then I'm going to be throwing some capped leagues together. Only one serious one because the goalkeeper's playing, Bilal. So it'll be him in goal. I'm going to be gambling on Crystal Palace to continue their good form and Aston Villa to continue their stumbling form. So with that in mind, I think Munoz could get some attacking returns against Villa at home. Best there, even though he's had a few off scores, he's still on his day a good player. So I'm going to be playing him and captaining him. Then there's an interesting fixture which I'm targeting both in my 270 and my 220, which is Burnley v Nottingham Forest. I think Burnley, now relegated, might play with a little bit of freedom. And I think Forest technically kind of need to win to ensure survival. So there could be a chance that they perform well as well. So this could be like a high scoring game, I think. So Josh Cullen, Burnley, my Burnley card that I like, I'm going to be playing him. And then Quinones has his second semi-final at the weekend against Chivas. So it's going to be America v Chivas. Big game. So I think, while he might not start, I think he could come off the bench. And that game is very tightly poised at the moment. 0-0 from the first leg. I'm expecting the second leg to also be quite tight, maybe 0-0. And if Quinones doesn't start, he comes off the bench when it's 0-0. Grabs the winner. That's the plan, because he has been giving some good scores off the bench lately, Quinones. This last good score that he gave 2 weeks ago was off the bench. This 63 was off the bench. So I'm hoping for another one of those, basically. So that is my cap 270. My 220s, I'm going to be playing Sam Johnson, new boy, DMP goalkeeper, and then I'm going to be putting in Cucurella, who's been doing really well for Chelsea lately. So I'm going to captain him, maybe get some attacking returns and a clean sheet against Bournemouth. That's the dream. 2 Newcastle players, because Newcastle also really need a win. So Chelsea have gone above Newcastle in the league, which makes me happy, but I do envisage Newcastle really trying to win this game against Brentford, who don't have as much to play for in the last game of the season. So with that in mind, I'm going to be playing my 2 Newcastle midfielders. And then Awaniwi, maybe he comes off the bench against Burnley and does well. Maybe he starts, because he's now had 2 games off the bench, building his fitness back up. Maybe this is the week where he starts. Forest kind of need a win. Burnley, a good fixture. So all 4 of these could smash. It's not unheard of to imagine all 4 of these getting good cards. And if they do, that makes up for the DMP goalkeeper. So And then there's going to be some training lineups as well. So those are the kind of serious lineups I'm building this week. There's only really two that I think are kind of serious. The third is a punt lineup. And this is kind of, I think, a sign of things to come until August. So the Mexican season, by the way, I should just say, they don't have much of a break. So if you have Liga MX cards, the Mexican season is kind of like really long, and then they have like a 1 month or not even that. The Mexican season resumes in July. It's like they haven't even finished the current season. The season ends at like the end of May. There's like 1 month break, and then the season resumes. And then they have a 1 month break again, and then they have another season. They break the season into two. It's very confusing, but I think because they need the money, the Mexican clubs, they just play all the time. So it's not going to be that long. The Mexican season is going to be back before the Premier League season. So the Premier League season should be back late August. Mexican season will be back in July. So I don't have that long to wait, but that's how it is. Let me know, as always, people, in the comments, what you think of the video, what you think of my trades, what you think of my strategy going forward. If you've got any tips, I have had a few good tips in the last few videos of players to look at and scout, and they're on my scout list. Everything I get given on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, or the YouTube comments here, I appreciate. I make notes. I'm still learning. I'm still new at this, but having fun. Appreciate it all. So good luck with your weekends. I hope you all avoid the DNPs, and I'll see you next week. Peace.